Today, I want to make sure that you are so prepared that by December the 31st, 2024, you will have no regrets about your year. We're going to give you some tools today. I want you to sit tight and listen. This is the first installment of Lessons from the Lighthouse for 2024. Now, we want to talk a little bit about sprinters. Everybody knows, any sprinter will tell you, that coming out of the blocks is the most important part of their race. Now, last month I gave you some trivia. If you recall, the trivia was that Clark Griswold put 250,000 light bulbs on their house. Your trivia for this month is who is currently the sprinter that's the fastest out of the blocks, and I'll tell you, it is a man by the name of Christian Coleman. So that's your trivia for this month. Well, why do we want to come out of the blocks fast? I'm going to tell you, there are 3 reasons why you need to come out of the blocks fast in January. And that pertains to your business, your relationships, your life. And the 3 reasons are, first of all, there's a sense of confidence that we get when we come out fast, when we come out strong, when we're successful. That confidence helps push us through the year. The second reason is momentum. Now, momentum in life, momentum in business, one of the hardest things to achieve, and you never want to let go of it because it takes time to get it back. So the second reason you want to come out of the blocks fast is to get momentum. And the third one is more of a mind thing. Third reason you want to get out of the blocks fast is because it's much less stressful. If you start your year with goals, you start achieving the things that you want to do, you have a lot less stress as you move forward. But you're coming out of the blocks, it has to be purposeful. So now I want to tell you how. How do we come out of the blocks fast? How do we make sure that December 31st, 2024, we will have realized all the things that we're going to visualize? And that's exactly how. Visualize. We need to think about the outcomes. We need everything that we do in January, February, March, April has got to be aligned. You're going to hear that word a lot this year as we do some of these lessons from the Lighthouse. Everything has to be aligned to where you want to be on December 31st, 2024. As a matter of fact, the very first thing that I'm going to ask you to do today is to visualize December 31st, 2024. I want you to take some time with it. I want you to close your eyes. In fact, what I'd really like you to do is write it down. Where will you be? What will your life look like on December 31st, 2024? What do you see in your business life, in your family, in your marriage, in your life at large? Write those things down, and then I'm going to advise you that you should put them somewhere that you can see them on a regular basis. I'm reading a book right now by Craig Rochelle, which talks about our mind, and he says, that the things that we think about will shape who we become. The things you think about in January are going to shape who you become in the year 2024. So I want you to write them down, and now everything that you plan or act on needs to be tied to those outcomes that you visualized. Now, how else can we get there? Well, I want you to do an exercise. You've heard of SMART goals, I'm sure. Well, here at the Lighthouse Collective, we're going to call them SMART goals. Now, my wife is from the South, and when I first started dating Deb, my kids thought she took every 1-syllable word and gave it 2 or 3 syllables. As a matter of fact, I used to shop at a grocery store called Longo's, and it's really just Longo's. But of course, Deb, being from the South, it was called Longo's, and it just went on and on and on. And a few months after dating her, my daughter Beth would always say, "Are you still dating Miss Longo?" Well, these aren't SMART goals, they're SMART goals. And I'll give you the letters. S is for strategic. M is for measurable. The first A is for achievable, and then a Y for yet audacious. Strategic, measurable, achievable, yet audacious, relevant, and time-bound. Now, what does that mean? Well, a strategic goal, we're picking out things that have to be done purposefully, These are the things that you know have to happen in order to get to that outcome that you visualized earlier on. Well, measurable, you cannot manage what you don't measure. So they have to be definitive. You can't say, I'm gonna lose weight, but not know exactly how much weight you're gonna lose. You can't say, I'm gonna be successful without saying definitively, what are those things I'm gonna measure on? Am I gonna measure myself on commissions earned, on income, on friends? It has to be something that you can actually measure so that you can track your progress. Now, the first A, as I said, is achievable. I've worked with people throughout my career that either gave themselves or gave the people that worked for them goals that were totally unrealistic. Those kinds of goals create unreal expectations. And you know what happens when you have unreal expectations or you have goals that are completely unachievable? You lose confidence. You lose confidence very quickly, and you're much more likely then to drift or to give up on your goals altogether. John Maxwell talks us often about being honest about our weaknesses, focusing on our strengths and being honest about our weaknesses. I just finished a book called Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud, and he said that unrealistic expectations are actually dream killers. Don't give yourself a goal without a plan to get there. The how you're gonna get there conversation, that actually helps you to evaluate the achievability of those goals. But I have a big but. Well, I don't actually have a big but. No, never mind. Here's a big but. Another A is audacious. There's a push and pull in life, there's a push and pull in business. And I want to tell you that you cannot use achievable as an excuse for mediocrity. I heard someone say success is not just not failing. Audacious goals are important. Some people call them big, hairy, audacious goals. John Maxwell says, I want my achievement and my goals to be so big that everyone knows that God was involved. Deb and I are reading a book right now called Halftime by a guy named Bob Buford. He takes the 10x, the idea of growing things 10x to a whole nother level. He's talking about 100x, and he said it's with 100x that we can actually change lives. The R is for relevant. And going back to that word aligned, our goals have to be relevant, aligned with that vision that you talked about, that you wrote down, that you thought about. Your goals have to be relevant in a way that they're actually the stepping stones to your vision. And the last letter, T, is for timed. Goals have to have deadlines, planned deadlines. The timing of your goals is super important. It's super important to achieving the end result, that December 31st vision. Your planning also has to have a pace, another element of time. In other words, if I said that I was going to lose 25 pounds by December 31st, 2024, I'm going to lose 25 pounds this year, I couldn't lose a pound a month between January and November and then expect that I was going to achieve my goal by losing 13 pounds in December. Your goals have got to be timed and aligned. Another book that I read this year was called The 12-Week Year by a guy named Brian Moran. And in that, he talked about creating these 4 blocks a year where you create deadlines and goals as though that year was over. Because all too often, we just leave things to float. We leave them out there. And so the best way for our December 31st vision to come true is to make sure that we have blocks where we're achieving goals in quarters. It all starts today though. And here's what I want you to do. Stay with me. I want you to do 3 things right now. The first thing I want you to do is to commit to writing out what December 31st looks like for you. The second thing is I want you to work backwards from December 31st and set out those goals, set out those quarterly goals. Use that SMART exercise to set out those goals over the 4 quarters. And the last thing I want you to do is put up your right hand right now and say, I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start today. You know, vision without action is just dreaming. And action without vision is kind of just wasting time. But vision with action, that's how you change the world. So we have a bunch of things coming up at the Lighthouse Collective. I want you to put in your calendars the date, April 20th. I'll be back to visit you this month to tell you a little bit more about that. I did put a post out this past week that said that every light needs a power source. Every light needs fuel. I want you today to find your fuel. I want you to light your light, keep shining, and be that light.